Hello and welcome back to Keeping Well. I am here with my darling friend Heather Sampson, who owns Heather Sampson and Co. She has been an incredible, abundant, beautiful resource in the beauty industry. I have recently connected with her in the last year through her strategy sessions, marketing, being a beauty industry professional, but also using her triple threat of knowledge. I feel like you are the I would say definition of a manifesting generator, utilizing all of your incredible skills and marrying them into the business that you have now that has not only created so much abundance for so many other stylists and other, practitioners that you've worked with, but I really just want to get to know you on a deeper level and understand more about where you're at with your business, how you've continued to help the community. So really where we'll start is your origin story, Heather. I'd love to know where you all started and where we have led up to, because there is such a story there, and I'm so excited to dive into it.
Yeah, so it's super untraditional and unconventional. It's kind of the story of my life. I didn't graduate high school. I ended up going to college a couple years later, and I was in early elementary education. And after about 2 years, I kind of realized that my heart is just too tender for the public school system. And so being an educator has always been something that like I made my siblings play school with me in the summertime. They hated it. We would do so that part of it has really kind of transitioned along as well. And then the marketing side of it. So like in high school and college, we would do those aptitude type tests that tell you what you should do. And like literally, I would get so mad. I hated doing them because every single time it was like marketing. There was nothing else. There was no other option. And I was like, I hate sales like I more than anything in the world. Like I was like, these tests are broken. And then down the road, I kind of learned over time, like, oh, marketing is connection, not sales. Sales and marketing do play a role together, but the marketing side is connection based. And I love connecting with people. So
Yeah.
that part of it and understanding people. So I've worked in marketing for over a decade. After college, I did a couple of years in college, and then I actually got married, had a baby, and I was like, well, I've got to figure out something to do to support ourselves. I don't want to go back to work full time. And I had always been really into hair and makeup. My mom was in the industry in the 80s. So it just kind of seemed like a natural progression to try out. I ended up going to hair school in Texas and in Washington, so I got two very unique and distinct
Hell
educations
yeah.
and
Yeah.
experience. My Texas education had such a special place in my heart. It was just so rich in experience and hands-on creative like education. Granted, both played a wonderful role, but I'm so grateful for that exposure because it
Yeah.
gave me a lot more connectivity for the people. I work with a lot of people in the South, and it's just such a different dynamic. So the hair school piece of it kind of just, I was in the industry for a few years. I was working as a makeup artist on photo shoots, weddings. I did all kinds of really cool projects, had a bunch of really cool opportunities. And at the time, I had become a single mom through divorce, and I kind of just was like, this isn't logical to like survive to take care
Yeah.
of my kid. Back then,
Absolutely.
this is 18 years ago,
Mhm.
and that it was like people have so much opportunity when they come out of hair school. Now, granted, the industry is still like you have to work, but I remember getting out of hair school so unprepared with education that I paid $20,000, $30,000 for,
Straight up.
and being like, "That's it." And I'm like, I now feel like I have to go to business school to kind of piece it together. Meanwhile, I have to take care of my family. So I transitioned out of the industry, started working in my next natural, which was marketing. Had some really cool experiences in marketing. I worked for a national skincare retailer that had accounts all over, like in all of the Whole Foods. And so that was a cool experience as far as like product production and the whole marketing. But what it takes to be a national brand is just like incredible. We worked in
Oh
a
yeah.
barn. It was in a
Yeah.
barn. My office was
Oh
in a
my
barn
gosh. I love that.
with no plumbing, and I mean, it's a massive company. So it was a really cool intro to like, I think I like this side of it. So I kind of always dabbled in projects that were like creative in the
Hmm.
beauty realm, but then didn't circle back into the industry until I formed my business. In the meantime, I worked in real estate for a lot of years, and
Yeah.
that piece is super pivotal because the buying psychology and education that I got within being a real estate agent was mind blowing and game changing as far
Yeah.
as numbers, analytics, research, marketing, connecting with people, buying psychology, emotional connection. Because that's just, I mean, that is like real estate on 100, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like really intense, but it's applicable anywhere. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of how the pieces of the puzzle of what I do now. For a few years, we moved to Montana after COVID, and I was working part time. My daughter was going to school. My husband was working, and my husband got injured
Hmm.
and became totally disabled pretty much overnight. And
Oof.
I had to figure out something that would like we could survive on.
Yeah.
While being my daughter was homeschooling at the time, was getting
Wow.
ready to like she's in high school, right? So we
Yeah.
can't make tons of transitions. And I had been a virtual assistant in the past. When I was in real estate, I had worked with a bunch of different agents as far as doing some virtual admin stuff for them. I've been on the computer since I was 5. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I can make a business out of this. And I remember
Oh,
just
yeah.
telling my husband, like, I think I can do this. I know it sounds crazy, but my business just started as a virtual assistant business. I was doing all kinds of high level tasks virtually for people in corporations, in C suite business owners. And
Right.
once that word kind of got out that that's what I offered, I still had a ton of friends from hair school in both Washington and Texas. And some of the girls in Texas started reaching out to me and were like, we know you're a nerd.
Hey.
We know you know what we're dealing with, and we
Yeah.
need help.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of exploded organically from there. So it's really kind of this. And people are always asking me like, how did the how? And I'm like, I wish I had a straight shot answer for you. It is a
You're
buckle
like,
up.
nope.
We're going on a story real quick.
Yeah, we're going on a ride and we're going to talk about it.
But it's very organic, which has kept me from feeling burnt out.
Yes.
I'm in my 4th year of official business, almost 3 years of exclusively working with salon professionals.
Amazing.
And about a year and a half into working with salon professionals and everybody else, I was like, I think that I'm going to only, the demand was just insane for the amount of people who need support
Mhm.
and are just overwhelmed with their business in general and can't take on that marketing role because it's a lot was just overwhelming. So I'm like, I need to do something to help these people. And that's kind of the essence of where the six I don't like to say success consistency
Yeah.
has come
Yeah.
from
Right. Go off
is
with success, sister. Okay. Yes. Success.
serving people, is
Yeah.
solving the problem and just keeping the focus of helping people. And sometimes I have been asked like, why salon professionals? Would you work with other people? Well, I do take on projects here and there. I just can't. I would feel so horrible to walk away from so many people who like I know need help. So all of the pieces of what I've experienced now is what I use to help other people. So that is really fills my cup in a
Yeah.
sense of like, okay, it's impactful and taking kind of the experiences that I've had that weren't all that great. I've held on to a lot of shame for a lot of years for not putting the hair school piece into place. It was a huge investment. And
Yeah.
to see now, like, if I hadn't done it,
Right. Right.
so it's just been a really cool
Yes.
reflected experience
Yep.
and validation of my own skills too. So it's a circle of healing and
Yeah.
creative nerdiness.
Yeah. And I just think it's so incredible because, again, like, you speak to shame around some of this, right? And also, I mean,
Yeah.
I have a ton of my friends that are manifesting generators, and the amount of times that they start something and put something down, it's just
Yes.
like that. It's that repetitive cycle for them, right? But again, when you are ready to pick something up again, it explodes. And it just like,
It's
I mean, in
crazy.
connecting with you, probably a couple years after you'd already had some of this abundance and, the train rolling the way that it was, from connection to connection to connection is how I got to you, right? And it was,
Yeah,
well, if she's the best of the best, sign me right up because we about to do it. And again, you're really filling a gap for people that feel so frustrated. They feel like
yeah,
they want to pull their hair out because they're literally just like, I don't know this part and I don't really honestly care to know all the parts. I just
right.
want to stay in my zone of genius. And if there is support or there is, an area where I can micro improve on this, but then I can hand it off to someone, you're the best person. You're the best person to hand these things off to because
You're so
you have
sweet.
these layers. Yeah, you're welcome. These layers of being able to like really look at somebody's business and say, this is your uniqueness. This is where
Yeah,
I see you can, thrive. And of course, it is to that person's individual experience to say, like, hey, yeah, let's roll with it or let's shift. But you have this insight because of kind of streamlining your business in the ways of beauty professionals or wellness professionals, right?
hmm,
And I think that's so important because again, like in a trade where we just want to like be in our creativity and just be like, okay,
yes,
like let me just do this. Like, is there someone out there like you have been an answered prayer to so many of us, right? And brought so much abundance to a
that
lot
is
of
so
our
sweet.
businesses. Yeah. So thank you for all that you do and all of the incredible work that you've done to get here because it takes time and it also does take healing. Like, and you just spoke to
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah. Oh, totally. Well, and one of the other things that I work with nearly every single person I work with, something that you just kind of mentioned is there's not one person I think in this industry who has like one lane or one interest. And there is though a lot of pressure on women, I think, to pick a lane, so to
Mm.
speak, career-wise. Whereas I like to honor people who are multifaceted and lean into it. The more ideas you have, the better. I always say my job is to kind of organize them and figure out which ones are going to make you the most money and the least amount of investment and time. All the ideas are good ideas, is what I tell
Yeah.
everybody. Because there's a
Yep.
lot, everybody I work with is like, I know I have another idea. I know I have another idea. It's like, but they're good ideas. You're a
Yeah.
creative. This is, and then I think the other piece that you mentioned too that kind of resonates a lot with what a lot of people that I work with deal with. And a lot of so what I see with my clients, I am generalizing is what a majority of people
Yeah.
in the industry, whether they work with me or not, are feeling
Right.
with. Dealing with. So I kind of like to touch on it all just so there's a lot of people who like you could have a wonderful partner, you could have great friends, coworkers, whatever. Unless they're in it with you every day, like it's lonely. So I always like to give a little bit of that like validation and visibility. And one of the pieces too that's really powerful is realizing that while everybody I work with is insanely intelligent, they're business owners, successful business owners, okay? And they're juggling many, many hats. When they realize that they don't have to do it all and leveraging help and hiring support is what successful and women who aren't plateauing in their business are doing in any
Mhm.
industry and leveraging support, whether it's kind of like, okay, if you're maxed out with cleaning your house, hire a house cleaner so that you can focus on things you love in your life and move the needle. And then it's really cool to kind of see, even if somebody just works with me one time for a class, the way that it opens up new perspectives of the things that they don't have to carry while still being more abundant, life changing. So I just like to, that's a huge thing I think in the industry as far as like we all are wearing so many hats. All of my clients have so much on their plate. And I'm always trying to take something off that load and simplify because
Yeah.
the creative is what is the magic, the secret sauce. And you're right,
Yeah.
they just want to be in their art. And that's
Mhm.
where I want them to be is you go play. Let me geek out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, let me take care of this for you. Thank you.
Well, and the other side of it too is all of my clients all have skills in tech in some way. Some are great with Canva, some
Mm.
are great with their website, some are great with their social media, some don't enjoy any of it and just want to like connect and DM.
Yep.
I like to take where they are comfortable and what they do want to create and pour into that. Let
Yeah.
let them kind of fly off and support them in being creative. and then me support the things that they're like, I'm overwhelmed, because the creative part of the people in this industry is like, that's another thing I think that pulls me back is like, I love the corporate world, but girl, it was boring. Boring.
Yep.
A lot less colorful. There's a lot less emotion and connection. So the more that the artists in this industry are able to create art on
Mhm.
multiple levels without being stuck in the weeds of the things that just are not the best use of their time, if you're looking at
Yeah.
time as money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that is a piece that I think within the industry is starting to be more common, is like people getting back to the creative parts that really light them up,
Yeah.
because the burnout's starting to creep in a little, I think, for some
Oh yeah.
people.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you can be on any part of your journey. You could be 1 year you're in, you could be 10 years in, you could be 18 years in, and there's so many different aspects of that where like in coming to even my personal experience, right? Over the last 2 years before I had met you, it was that I was investing in so many people that like quite literally didn't see my vision. Like I was just,
Yes.
okay, and this is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I also want to put out
And
there
hours of
very,
your time
yes,
also.
yes. And huge investment, right? Whether it's time, money, whatever. But the fact is like, I think sometimes we also see social media as these like shiny pieces. This is what we're highlighting, yada, yada. I've been
Yes.
through it. We've all been through it in some way, shape, or form. And to have said, like, okay, I've worked with these people. This is what I would recommend, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's me leaving the ladder down for people because I don't want them making the same mistakes I did, right? Which is, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, if I can cut you from A to Z, and I had to go A to Z to the to all the way through. It's like, let me do that for you. So it makes more sense. You don't spend nearly as much time. And I think that's how, again, we were kind of talking about it earlier, but just like continuing to keep the collective elevated, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many times where you might see somebody doing something over here and we feel like, oh, well, they're doing the same thing as me, and it gets competitive again. And it's one of those things where I'm like,
Right.
we could be doing the same exact thing, but your lens is going to be so unique to you and your path. My lens is going to be so unique to me and my path. And the ability to be able to like merge these lanes rather than knowing that like really nobody can swerve in your lane. Nobody is you.
Right. Well,
Period.
this is a lot of what I do is, I don't like to call it therapy, and I
Yeah.
know that there's a lot of
It's
crossover.
it's therapy, okay?
Because, like, I don't want people to feel like they're burdening me with
Yeah.
these conversations, but the behind the scenes of what I do, as far as like what people need, as far as reassurance, validation, and emotional support, are like so centered around those ideas that they are so excited about what they're creating and bringing to the table. And we're all human. And social media, if we're not careful, it's toxic.
Hmm.
That's a huge reason why I teach and create the way I do, because I fell into toxic social, and we all have been there. And
Yep.
years ago, I was like, there's gotta be a better way.
Literally.
I just started saying no to anything on social media as a technique that made me feel ick.
Yeah.
And I am very emotionally disconnected from my social media. And that's my goal for my clients. And it's not always easy, because everybody we work with is in the industry is so emotionally aware and intelligent and sensitive. So the depth of caring, and so they have these ideas that are just like their lifeblood. It's like a
Yeah. Right.
child to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then something they see or something someone says makes them feel some type of way about it. And then I do a lot of reframing and restructuring the mind and perspective, as far as I call it your authority story, your secret sauce, your
Yep.
signature. All of this just mean those are just little words, but what I'm getting at is that, like, exactly what you said, of that means that there's nobody who can do anything the exact way. There are so many people in so many niches in the industry. Even if you took every single client who is interested in it, like, that's not humanly possible. Number one, like, I like to say there's enough pie for everyone. Like,
Yes.
the clients, I've seen a lot of people who have clients that will cross over, like I've said before, that with practitioners that are in a somewhat same space, but have different modalities or different perspectives. And that abundance mindset, as I call it, as far like that's what I mean when I say sometimes when I say abundance mindset, I think people think I mean like buy a lotto ticket.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, no, I really mean like the way that you move and think in relation to like your actions creating abundance
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
And it's hard. But as especially it is a competitive industry, we're all trying to like provide in some way for ourselves, loved ones, families, whatever it may be. We've all got bills to pay, right? And so it's human nature to kind of get in that like, but this is mine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the abundance really kind of flows as far as like everybody's lanes can kind of cross over, but the cars don't have to like, we can be cool.
Yeah. Right. We can just chill in the same area. Yeah. I think the cross referral is huge, you know? I mean, like what
Massive.
what more abundance could happen than to say like, you know, even with what I do with Leanne half the time is like I love that she has her microscope masterclass and I'm like, y'all, like that is something I don't have to make because I don't want to make that. Like I loved learning that from her and the way that she explains things and all of that. And there's a ton of other huge industry professionals that I've done the same with, right? I've taken their
Mm-hmm.
education and I just refer out. And for me, I call myself the affiliate queen. I would rather sit in the affiliate lane, right? And be like, okay, because again, manifestor vibes, right? Like I've got very
Totally. I love the connecting the people, man. I don't want to be like in all the drama and all the conversation all the time, but I know that you would love this person.
right, right, exactly. I'm like, let me go ahead and be that connector. I'm in that in my regular life as it is, just with like other
You
wellness
really are.
practitioners.
You
And I
are
love it.
like, if I lived in your area, I would be like, I need to know that girl. She
Yeah.
knows everyone.
I mean, if that isn't just like the what I came to realize with even just like creating the Austin Affordable Wellness Guide, I was like, this is incredible. This
So
is something that
incredible, by the
I needed.
way.
Right. But at the same time, too, like understanding that even a free resource for me, I needed something at the time to like give me a win, right? Like I had been like
Yeah.
spinning with my head spa education, but like when
Yeah.
it comes to being a manifester and honoring my like literal energy spike, it's like it wasn't there for my head spa education for a little while. I was like, I started it and I started it full throttle. And then I was like, I don't think I have all the pieces yet. And that's okay. But I have to be
I
okay putting
love
it
that
down.
about you. I
Yeah.
love that about you as far as that's a piece that I wish more people would carry in is it's okay to like pause and keep it trucking. Like I felt a lot of shame for not for going to hair school, doing it a few years and then whatever. And like, okay, but your head spa stuff now, because of the connections and energy you've poured into in that in between time,
Yes.
it's been so cool to see the progression because your passion is just like unbelievable for helping people, for connecting, for sharing. And so it can be like in marketing, things don't always like I can't it's not like I can always predict how things are going. I use a lot of research, a lot of analytics, and a lot of intel to craft our strategy. But at the end of the day, if the creator or the person who's actually in the DM selling it is feeling disconnected energy wise in some way, it's okay to pause.
Just
It's okay.
stop. Yeah.
Imagine though if you had kept trucking in that energy that wasn't as full as where you
Turmoil.
are now.
Yeah.
Right. Versus you still kept the integrity of your audience. And I
Hmm.
think that's a piece that is like super powerful too, is like it's better to just kind of step away for a little bit and not like nobody's gonna care if you take a week off social media. Your followers are still gonna love you.
Nobody
But if
knows half the time.
right. Everybody got a
Nobody
life.
knows. Yeah.
Everybody got a life.
Yeah.
But if you post things that alienate them,
Yeah.
then that's where we start to really lose irreparable
Yeah.
psychological and emotional connections.
Yeah. Yeah.
They still will love you, but the odds of them being a part of your ecosystem in your business, whether that is your brick and mortar salon or your
Right.
education, low,
Yep.
very low.
Yep.
So I always tell people, if you're not feeling it, don't post.
Yeah.
don't not do not post, because
Yep.
if you feel that way, imagine how your audience feels, or how they might feel subconsciously.
Hmm.
And I think in social media, it's this constant like to create, right? And there's just been a lot of really cool trends that I'm sorry, I love Instagram more and more, because Instagram is really receptive, I think, to a lot of things we're speaking on, as far as like being an actual creator. And
Yeah.
while it is still social media, it still is a platform that is generating money from all of us being on it.
Hmm.
They are trying to accommodate so that we enjoy being on there as creators and business owners. So
Yeah.
I do believe that there is just like everybody has like their secret sauce and authority story, there's a secret formula that complements the way that they like to learn and the way they want to connect on social media.
Hmm.
My goal is always like, I never that's not one I could probably honestly say this and with confidence. There's probably not one of my clients who has spent more time on social media when working with me. It's more so being very intentional with the time they are on social media.
Yeah.
And my goal is always to make it to where you're able to like actually connect with people. Because that's where everyone in this industry is like, social media is a necessary evil for the way business runs now.
Yeah.
But most people in the industry don't actually, even if they have large accounts, they don't love it the same way as connecting in person, right?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So getting, while social media is necessary, that human connection piece, and still finding those ways to connect with your local community like you did with your, that's why I was
Yeah.
like, so when you announced, I was like, that is literally the most one mentally healthy choice you can make, as far as where to pour in your energy when you're feeling like this isn't going the way that I maybe had hoped right now.
Right.
And the connections from it. Look at your new salon space, my friend. Like the abundance that has rolled in your life since choosing that sort of energy and alignment has been unreal to witness. I just need you
Yeah.
to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is, thank you. Thank you for that, because it is one of those things where, I mean, sometimes you feel like you're sucked into a vortex. And one thing I wanted to speak on when you were talking was, again, it's like the contrast between, or maybe not the contrast, but the being a creator versus a consumer, right? We love that, being able to enter the app and be like, okay, I can be a creative here, rather than feeling like I'm just like doom scrolling all this stuff or having this comparison mindset or whatever the case may be. I think a lot of it is being able to say, like, for me, when I show up in social media, I'm saying, okay, there is one singular person, not 100,000, one singular person that I'm supposed to speak to right now, because I have this energy in my body that is about to blast out of my mouth and I need to speak it. And that is, again, me following those nudges that I've learned now over the last 6 years, right? Because for so long,
Mm-hmm.
again, you find social media and then you start seeing what is popping off for people and you're, maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I should be doing that. But then again, what you spoke to, that goes completely against your authority. That goes completely against what your actual alignment is. Because if it starts triggering things in you, that's when you really need to step back and you really need to say, like, okay, hold on,
Yes.
let me give myself a pause. What did that actually just bring up in me? Why? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's not who's posting it. You know what I mean? It's not,
No,
yeah,
it's like it's almost like even I feel that sometimes, where I'm like, okay, well, that probably means that I have something to say, and I'm just a little feeling like, dang, they beat me to the punch.
yeah,
But
yep,
also, I think that having what you said, as far as like seeing something that somebody's doing on social media and then wanting to recreate it, I think that putting focusing on putting your own spin on it is where it alleviates, because you can't recreate, just like you said, that's their what that created, but you can take inspiration from it. You can,
yep,
and that's kind of the essence what like education and being a content creator, because that's what everybody on social media who owns a business is a content creator. is taking pieces of like what we're exposed to throughout the day, our authority story, our history, our experiences, our education, and then kind of compiling it into that is what the vibe is. And it's so finding a lot of times when I first start working with people, like you had a very defined brand. You were very clear on the vibe, the colors, all of that. Sometimes that can be a little murky for people because we're in an aesthetic industry.
Right.
Everything is pretty to us. That's the most
Yeah.
common thing I hear from people, whether it's on social media when they're trying to figure out what kind of content they want to make,
Yeah.
or in a project that we're creating, is like, there's so many decisions and I like everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's because also too, and my sister said this so well to me recently because she's a nail artist, right? And like I'm so outwardly just like just do everything. I want my nails to be seen from outer space, whatever. And
Yes.
she's like, I don't understand you half the time because she's like, as someone that like lives in these like beautiful neutrals and whatever, she was like, and then you have this like, give me buttercups and rainbows and this and that. And I was like, it's because my external world has been the hair industry for the last 17 years. It's told me to wrap
Yes.
myself in black. You know what I mean? And so I'm like rediscovering this ability to have color, but like the color lives in here. The color is in here. You know what I mean? And then I find
A
that to be
hundred percent.
complicated when I'm like, when we walked through branding and things like that, I'm like, yeah, I could do that, but I could also do neons and buttercups and this and that. And it's just,
And I'm like, this feels like you.
yeah.
This feels like I'm sitting in your space. And that's
Mhm.
always kind of like you can always change branding down the road. I changed my own branding probably
Yeah.
6 times.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I change one color every year. And up until they picked a dumb color this year, I picked the Pantone color of the year before it was picked.
Yeah.
The last
Yep.
like
You're like,
4 years. This one, I forget what it was, but it was really, I think it was like a white. I think it was white. It was like supposed to be a blue white. And I'm like, ah, all of the colors.
yeah.
But color, when you're exposed to color theory
Yeah.
too, you see it on such a different. It's so funny. I asked my like husband and daughter questions about colors and like the way they see it versus like the way I do and other people in the industry. And it's like it's so complex the way that we look at color versus other people. So there's also a lot of like I like to work with the emotions that are tied to colors
Yep.
and numbers. Those are one of my
Yep.
favorite kind of geeky things. Is
Mhm.
which it's kind of crazy if you think about different colors. You obviously start to feel an emotion kind of rise. Same with numbers. So that's always kind of a focus is like, one, how do you want people to feel when they're connecting with you, whether it's in your content, in your marketing, whatever, but also like, how are you trying to like, what's the vibe of the business and what are you trying to translate to them? And a lot of times, like we can control the algorithm. I hate that word. I call it a cuss word in my business.
Yeah.
It's it is what
But
it is, right? We
yeah.
use it for research. We can't control it. Science, research, evidence-based things, analytics. Those
Mhm.
are things that, while not 100% predictable, it gives us some power and some control in the strategies we create. So a
Absolutely.
lot is put on the weight of like the algorithm within people in the industry because they spend so much time and energy creating this content that is like literally such a piece of them. And then you have an algorithm who
Mhm.
says, not today, homie. Back
Like,
of the bus, kid.
yep. Yep. And
So
it can be so frustrating.
it's defeating. And so
Mhm.
then it becomes like you start to really, there's a lot. Marketing on social media is so in depth to me because there's usually some sort of like it's emotional trauma
Yeah.
creating content, being vulnerable. Maybe somebody said something unkind to you. Maybe customers have said unkind things. Maybe people have, there's all kinds of haters on
Oh
social
yeah.
media. That's another a huge thing a lot of my clients deal with is total strangers. They make this beautiful piece of content and total strangers come and, tear down their technique or little thing in the background. And it's just like, it really makes you not want to engage in something that is literally helping put food on your
Yeah.
table.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So that piece of it is a little like a big part of what keeps me motivated to keep engaging with people in our industry
Yeah.
on the marketing level because man, y'all are just so passionate so unbelievably passionate and just want to help people. So I'm like, man, you need the help.
Yeah.
I can't not, right?
Yeah.
And so in social media, there's a lot of I know the internal and shadow and energy work is a huge part of your practice, and it really plays over into marketing as well, as far as like, it's so vulnerable. And that's something I try to honor is like working with a marketing professional. A lot of times when people work with me, they've had experiences with marketing professionals that were not fun and were really challenging. Like you said, like I think, oh, I remember when we met, you were like mid of a collaboration that was just like your last straw and you were like hopeless. And I remember getting like a text message or a DM being like, I need
Yep.
help
Yep.
in
Yeah.
a way. And I heard through
Yep.
the grapevine that
Hmm.
you are the doctor.
Yes. Literally. Because again, I mean, for me, like, I'm just going to continue to plow forward. I'm going to continue to walk this path. I have this, like, we'll say this, like, fire for these things. But it really, like, if I can drive anything home for people, it is really coming back to yourself in the moments that when you are hiring someone or you are just like, okay, this person is telling me that this could work for the algorithm or this could work or whatever. Because the whole thing is that people were like, you need to do ASMR content. And I've heard it for years, right? But I hadn't necessarily like walked the path. I wasn't necessarily in the right place to do it because my building is loud and whatever. But I started figuring out a way to do it. But was I passionate about it in that moment? No.
No,
And that's the
no.
whole
You
thing.
were
Like,
good at it, but it
yeah.
didn't light you up, didn't light your audience up.
Right, right. And it's just that was starting something completely different when I was like, I would like to start with my education first. And then once that's rolling, then get into something that's new, right? But starting something that's new when I was already so like heavy passionate over here, that's where I would say just for anybody, like literally listen to your body. If you are feeling any kind of
100%.
restriction in your chest, in your gut, in your wherever, and you are spiraling up here, take yourself away from the situation, go sit in some motherfucking grass or find a motherfucking hammock and just exist for a little while outside of
Totally.
social media and what people are telling you to do and ask yourself, does this spark joy? Is this something that I want to move
Very
forward with?
basic.
Yeah.
Do I
Oh my,
like this?
yeah. And it's okay if you don't right now, because again, you can
Totally.
shift and the opportunity may come back when it is that full circle moment, right? And
Totally.
I will never say wasted time because there are always lessons amidst the things. But
Totally.
I have been in enough of them to be like, just if you already know, if your body already knows, give yourself that grace, okay? And just take the step to pause.
Totally. Well, and a lot of times I'll meet with people, they'll do, so everybody who works with me starts with a strategy session. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a diagnostic session for us to get into the nitty-gritty, gives me a full overview of all the ways that you need help. I give you a bunch of education. And then from there, where everybody goes is a little bit different. And a lot of times I'll meet with people and then they'll marinate on it, and I'll get messages like, I'm so sorry. I've got all this going on and I've got XYZ that I need to take care of in my business. And I'm like, yo, I mean this with my whole chest. Alignment is everything in
Mhm.
your marketing and in your creative projects. The best thing you could do for anything you want to do within working with me is to wait until your body's like, let's do it.
Yeah. Hmm.
I pray for my clients and students every day for their abundance, that all of the weight of the things that they're stressing about are taken off their plate, and they start to work within their mindset too, as far as like I give them a really clear action plan of like how feasible some of these things are. I feel like a lot of times it feels so out of reach. There's a lot of investment as far as like platforms, apps, tech, the support, whereas making it really streamlined and piece by piece, and then people are like, okay, and then it's almost like the wheels start turning. They start clearing out the space of things that are like stagnant energy, and then they come back to me in a couple weeks in the best place. So I always really try and honor, like, I do not like sell to people
Yeah.
ever. Like, I don't sell. I will give you information and let it sit with you. And if it aligns, it aligns. Because I too have like the freedom to choose who I work with. That's a huge
Right.
part of why I wanted to be a business owner
Yeah.
is I want to also enjoy my
Yes.
work. And so that being aligned in your marketing, being aligned in the support that you bring within your circle is just so huge. Other industries, I feel like they can get away with just hiring like Joe Schmo for their marketing because it's pretty
Mhm.
straightforward. But the depth of what a salon business offers, along with how fast it turns over, is crazy. It's one of the reasons I love it because I never get bored in office jobs. When I worked in the corporate world, I literally, I think maybe 2 or 3 times stayed in a job more than 2 years
Yeah.
because I was so mind numbingly bored
Yes.
and creatively stagnant. Whereas this industry is like, I'm always learning something new from all of you. And it's just, it's unbelievable from being exclusive to the salon industry for just a small amount of years.
Yeah.
The transformation is insane. It's
Yeah.
and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So having someone who can keep up with your ideas and your creative energy, whether and I don't mean like someone to work with me or whatever, just in
Yeah.
general, if you're shopping, if you're listening to this and you're shopping for someone in marketing, it's just so important that they have a little bit of a grasp of the layers that is working with a salon and wellness professional.
Hmm.
It's so vast, and the creative punches are always rolling.
Yeah. Yep. And I would say again, like just to co-sign that, it's, through my experience, I'm like anybody that's listening to this, yes, you want some insight on what to avoid. It's like happy to share those things because there's so many times where again, you're like, okay, yeah, this person, whatever, but like it's taking that second to be like, okay, but like who have they worked with? What are the things? Like it's like shop around, have consultations, like see how your energy matches with that person because if I would have done a little bit more of that, again, I would have felt like I felt with you, the MG energy. I was like, I need the generator. I need the person that
Yes.
understands at least a little bit about my business and where I'm going because I do not have the energy myself to get myself all the way there. I need to collaborate and I need to work in this sort of like symbiotic relationship. Otherwise, it just feels like I sit still until
Yeah.
like, okay, now what? So it's being able to like really take yourself out of it, give yourself time to like meet with others and then make an informed decision, right? Uh,
Yeah. There's a lot of scams out there, and it's
yeah.
something I love the anonymous feature on Facebook. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm in a lot of
Yep.
salon groups, and there are all kinds of people from all over the world who know that salon professionals are desperate for help and are posing as people who can help. And you should be very cautious about who you give any sort of account information to. I'm going to get very mom for a minute.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of what I do with a lot of my clients is they'll get emails or DMs or things like that, text messages even, and they're like, is this real? And it looks like maybe a company that partners says they're partnering with some professionals, a dupe of a real account like
Hmm.
Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And I think that I've not seen it. The scams are everywhere, but I haven't seen it this rampant in other industries. And I think that they're targeting that like salon professionals are busy. They're not going to sit there and read through every single detail. And they also know that they're probably shopping for some of these services, using some of these platforms. So there's just so much due diligence that has to happen when you are like, just because someone says, "Hey, this is what I offer," they should be able to show you I will let if somebody wants to have a portfolio, I have examples of like income generated, there's analytics. They should give you some tangible metric.
Yep.
Everybody's different what they show because everybody's business is different, but they should be able to give you like you should be able to look up their business in some way. They should have like some sort of a formal like payment platform, things like that. there should be some sort of like, you can look up customers or clients or references of current work, things like that, because I think as the virtual assistant, because that's technically what I am,
Yeah.
and in some of the aspects, and the digital product world explode, I think that there are a lot of people who think that they can dip into what my side of the world in this industry is like. And while you can, it's not that I just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a culmination of literal skills
Yeah.
and services that I provide. So there is a lot of people who marketing, they might be really great in other industries, but again, what the salon industry needs, because
Different.
what you were looking for when we first connected and what you were getting from this other company, it's not like you were asking for anything crazy, is the thing.
Hmm.
It's just that your business is something that they weren't familiar with, the nuances within the
Right.
niche, right?
Right.
So I think that sometimes too, like a lot of people I work with are like, think that they're asking for too much in the marketing world. And I'm
Yep.
just like, no, this is normal. There's just maybe
Or
not bit.
yeah,
Go
or
ahead,
it's
go ahead.
almost like bare minimum. You know what I mean? Because it's like by the time I
Yes.
talk to you, you're like, sorry, that's not very much. That's not a lot. What are you talking about? And I just was
Yeah.
like, see, I didn't think I was crazy. And, it just felt like
Right.
I've been dragging through this like mud to be like, okay, like why am I spending so much time on things that I thought was your responsibility for like editing and posting and things like that, when in reality you're
Hmm.
like, yeah, this should look like this. This should
Right.
be streamlined in a way that feels like you are maybe like, yep, that looks good. Okay, check, check, and then you take it the rest of the way. Or, but it like the turmoil and the weight that I felt from feeling like, well, if this is how this is working, I could have done it 17 times faster on my own. And that was
Right.
the problem.
Right. And the social media part of it too, I see a lot of like people who've had experiences with other marketing agencies or individuals is that people are just posting to post,
Yeah.
whereas like what's the goal? What
Mhm.
sort of like analytics and research is going into this? What's the intention? Where's the strategy? what
Yeah.
what's going, they can just, the client can post just to post. That's
Mhm.
not the problem here. And having, and it's not even just having the strategy. Like I always tell my clients, like if you get in a bind, just raise your hand. If you're like, this isn't working, or I want to shift gears, like I've always got a new strategy to the strategy. There's
Yeah.
always something else we can do to
Backup plan.
shift.
Yeah.
Yes, life happens, the way you want to connect happens. And I think that a lot of times the experiences with other marketing professionals can be very one dimensional
Yeah.
in standard versus my ADHD brain likes doing, there's not one scenario of what a client needs in my business that is the same
Yeah.
across the board. There's a little bit of crossover, but I try to meet everybody where they're at needs wise. And that's just the luxury of owning my own business. I can do that.
Hmm.
And I don't have this massive agency. As I try to make things accessible and somewhat realistic versus some of the things I've seen people be quoted for. Granted, marketing in general is not cheap. Okay, nobody. I it's a lot of hours. Okay, I am on the computer from sun up till sundown, 6 to 7 days a week. It is not something that is just like happens overnight type of thing. It's intensive, right? But the things that I have seen people quote for sometimes, it's like it's not matching the tangible deliverables that this person should be getting.
Yeah.
So that piece of it makes people feel a little like emotionally abused sometimes when they've gotten quotes elsewhere, and they're just like, a lot of times when I meet people for the first time, they're just super defeated because it's like the options out there weren't meeting their need, but they again have this business that is their baby, that
Yeah.
they're just like, and let's be real, it's not getting any easier to be a salon owner, to be a
Yeah.
salon professional in
Right.
any way. And your marketing is more important now
Yeah.
than ever before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the day, you could just word of mouth and people would
You're like,
look you
cool.
up in the phone book or do
Yep.
a little Google, but that's not
Yep.
enough anymore.
No.
Those are great things, but it is essential for the success of a business to
Yep.
just have an online presence. And like you said earlier, to have to learn that as a salon professional, it's so, you're all really smart though. And if you're
Yeah.
listening to this, I already know you're smart
Yeah.
as heck. I'm not discrediting you, but a
Yeah.
brain only has so much capacity.
Yeah. And you don't have to hold it all, right? Like that's the
Right.
whole, like if we wrap it up in a bowl, you don't have to hold it all. And it is just giving yourself that time and space to align with someone that feels like they can support your business in the best ways, right? And I think again, just like, with the way that you've held space for so many of your students and clients and all of that, it's the ability to feel seen and to feel held in their experience so that that way they can say, okay, cool, like I can trust this person. They hear me. I can see what they're creating. This feels good. And then moving from there and then feeling more confident and then taking that next step. And I think we've covered a lot in the social media space. And I think that that's so beautiful because I just think that is where so many of us, again, just get hung up and we're just like, I don't know. And you just want to like flip the table and be like, whatever. Like you almost want to just walk away from it completely. When in reality, it's like, that image when you're like right almost to like the gold or to the diamond and you're like, oh,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
almost there, like ready to give up, and you just like you want to go the other direction, but you're like, no, you just need that one person that allows you to get to that abundance. Because I think for so long, I mean, even as just a solo business owner, you said it earlier, but just like feeling lonely. And I think just creating the space to be able to collaborate and be clear and be honest
Mhm.
is huge. So I think in a lot of
Yes.
ways, you create that, but then, there's the mindset, there's the empowerment because we feel like we're leaving with like energy and yes, we are collaborating. So I'm going to do things and then I'm going to deliver them to you, and then you're going to do the other things that I don't have the capacity to hold, right? And that's where that comes in. It's like you're not just completely throwing everything at the wall on your own. It's like being able to like throw the things at the wall and you're coming and you're like, all right, now we're doing this to organize it. And
The
this
best
is how,
analogy of
yeah,
what I do.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
So
what
like,
makes my brain happy too. A lot of times my clients are like, "Are you sure? Are you sure
yeah,
you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know how to convey this to you, but for me, this is similar to you geeking out behind the chair."
yeah, yeah. You're like, let me just flip the script a little bit. Yeah,
Yes.
there's so much of that. And I think there's, so many avenues that we could continue to go down and just like turn over all the rocks and be like, and let's look under here and let's talk about this. But there's also so much about what I want to know from you as someone that holds this container for so many like students and clients that you've worked with and your home life, you're married and you have family and all of this. So it's like being able to come back to yourself. Like, what are practices? What are things that you like to do to pour into yourself to keep well on your end so that that way you can hold this space for others?
This is my favorite question because I think it is so, so important and not something that is discussed enough. It's becoming more of a topic, right? But it is something that I don't think enough women in our industry feel like they have the tools to kind of say, this is how I support myself
Right.
through it. And that, I people even talk about sustainability a lot. And that's another one of those like fancy words that I'm like, do people think I'm trying to be gimmicky here?
Right.
Because the sustainable part is that nervous system regulation too.
Yep.
And for me, I have very clear boundaries with social media. Very, very clear. My social media is a place that when I open that app, for the most part, I mean, I'm a human,
Yeah.
I enjoy it because I have very clear kind of like mental boxes I put social media in. When I'm in business mode, I'm doing what I call my money making tasks,
Hmm.
which is like engaging, posting, all that. But then I also allow myself to enjoy just like being on social media in a little like guilty pleasure kind of way if I want to kind of just scroll a little bit. But I also try to, my algorithm is very positive,
Yeah.
very, very
Yep.
positive,
Yep.
and very much somewhere that I enjoy engaging. And I think that it's been non-negotiable to me for a few years as far as like my social media will be my happy place. So that I think is essential because I'm immersed in it all
Yes.
day long,
Yep.
whether I'm teaching a class, whether I'm doing something for a client. I am deeply in the marketing. So we all know there's a lot of like potential for social media to be toxic, both to mental health, relationships, all those types of things. So having a good balance of like, this is a tool for my business, not an obligation, and it's where I get to connect.
Yeah.
Also having the choice of who I work with and the projects I take on. In the beginning, when I started my business, I said yes to a lot of things that,
Yeah.
while I did enjoy the projects, they didn't give me the same fulfillment as maybe things I'm working on now. And
Mm.
that difference, as I reflect over the years, is massive. Just as a business owner, a lot of times you say yes to
Yeah.
a lot of things. And
Yeah.
part of my abundance mindset has been like the alignment as well. So a lot of what I teach in that is things I'm actively practicing myself. The other piece that I think is probably the most pivotal is my faith. And that has been the biggest part of my business in ever. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry.
No, girl. You're
I can
welcome
feel
up
it,
here.
but it's been the biggest, but also the most vulnerable. When I was in real estate, there's literal ethics that you
Yeah.
have to agree to as a licensed realtor. And those types of things are not what you can talk about in the corporate world or just in general. And so
Yeah.
when I started my own business, it was very important to me that I figured out how that fit into my ecosystem. On my social media in my bio, the first word is Jesus. And I was so halfway terrified to put that on there because I didn't want people to feel like they weren't welcome
Yeah.
or that I didn't love them in a certain way because of the connotation. And I
Yeah.
wanted people to perceive that it was still like I lead with my heart and with
Yeah.
service. And I just want to be very transparent as far as I mean, there's nothing within my business that doesn't circle back to my faith. It's a literal miracle.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
literal, my husband and I pray on our knees forever for
Hmm.
something to kind of create a way for us to accommodate to his medical needs.
Yeah.
And I think having that part of it it's been really, really cool because I was so, but not so scared, but like there was a part of me that was like,
Yeah.
right? It's a
Yep.
heavy decision to make. It's very
Yep.
vulnerable.
Yep.
But I was like, I got to practice what I preach to my people.
Yep.
And the connections that have come out of it are amazing.
Way more
I
aligned. Way more aligned half the
it's
time.
it's also opened up conversations. This part might make me cry, actually. The amount of people who have felt comfortable to talk to me about their journey with their spirituality, their own faith, their own beliefs, in a way that they maybe wouldn't with other people in their lives is
Yeah.
just, it blows my mind. And I try to never take that for granted. So those types of, when you're thinking bigger purpose like that, those things really are so soothing to my nervous system. When I know, even if something is challenging, if I know it's a bigger picture and kind of this divine intervention, it really kind of takes that edge off. I know that sounds kind of crazy a little,
No, it does not. It does not.
but
I,
it really is like, man, it's not so hard
yeah.
when things are just so aligned. And I don't want anybody to think that like life is not super perfect all the time. I'm a human. I'm a typical married person just like everybody else. Not
Yep.
everything is roses all the time. I
Yep.
have all kinds of challenges. I have a sister who is in active addiction right now, who has been
Yeah.
something that I speak about a lot in my ministry, within my
Yeah.
business and social media. There's
Yep.
a lot of heavy things that I
Yeah.
try to be really vulnerable about on social media, and being able to share those is so rewarding in a healing perspective as well, because not just like the telling of my story does not always make me comfortable, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, another sad story. But the amount of conversations that come from people saying, I'm going through this too, or here's what I was dealing with, and I can relate on that level. I'm like, I can't not continue to try to connect in this way. So that deep connection that I'm experiencing as a like result of alignment within my business has created kind of a safe space nervous system wise, to where it's like I couldn't tell you that I ever really feel in the last probably 2 to 3 years. I've been super intentional about all of these things I'm speaking on, and I am tired because I have lots of projects to work on, but
Yeah.
my business has been a safe place for my nervous system, because it was so intentional for me from the beginning that I'm like, this has to be something that lasts. So I
Yeah.
have to be aware. I have to
Yep.
listen. I have to pull back. Like, I will say no to projects. I've said no to clients. I've said no to new students because I want to, one, protect my mental health and alignment, because anybody doing things we don't enjoy with our whole body, it
Yeah.
just is an expensive cost to pay for your
Yep.
body and your
Yep.
nervous system.
Yep.
So the clear boundaries, that's the thing I think a lot of people in our industry have a hard time with, is like feeling okay and confident in the boundaries. I just have, girl, I'm half Middle Eastern. I have no problem getting a little spicy and be like, no, thank you. No, thank
Absolutely. And I think one of the best things I've ever heard, and if you have not discovered Tony Jones, anybody out there, if you've not discovered Tony Jones, I need you to run and go listen to Worth Ethic, not work ethic, Worth Ethic.
you.
I'm going
Girl.
to send it to you, but she says somewhere in there, if you had 27 yeses for the rest of your life, what would they be? So think about that. 27 for the rest of your life. The amount of things that we say yes to because we're like either people pleasing or this or that because we're like, oh, well, we had and we're just like lacking on being boundaried. It's like I will come back to that all the time because of the fact that I'm absolutely a recovering people pleaser. Okay. I'm
100%.
really trying to be like, okay, like, do I actually want to do that though? It's a no, right? But a lot of times, what
100%.
flies out of my mouth first is yes, or like, oh yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wait. Let me give myself a second. And similarly, it's like if we can just pause and
Mm-hmm.
allow and assess and see what that feels like, the alignment for a lot of those things, just like you said, just posting your faith on your Instagram or whatever pages, like that just opens this space that like what could have been 100 people that could have created a lot of turmoil in your business, now are actually 20 really devoted and incredible connections for you because
100%.
of one small thing that you decided to say, yeah, this is really freaking important for me.
And it's scary. It is totally scary for all of my clients and students when they start to kind of like thin things out in their life, so to
Yep.
speak. But there's not one person who hasn't said, and sometimes the other piece of it too that I'm passionate about is if you're feeling like you need to say no to something and you don't,
Yeah.
my theory is it will be removed violently.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Violently.
Yes.
In a sense that you're like, I should have just said no. I
Mm-hmm.
should have said no.
Mm-hmm.
And the space, just like you're saying, the having that, no matter what you believe in, the abundance mindset is knowing that in saying yes to alignment, you are also saying yes to abundance. And you don't have to know what that looks like. I think that's a
We're not
huge
supposed to.
no, but we want to. That's my biggest caveat is like, I'm like, can I just see the plan? Can I just see the plan? Just let
Yep.
me look.
Yep.
Just one time. But it's hard. But once you do step into that, the abundance is amazing. Life's not perfect, but abundance can make it a little easier to kind of navigate. When you're in alignment, it makes it when the hard stuff keeps coming. The hard stuff is always going to happen, but the alignment makes you able to endure it. Is
Yeah.
the essence of all of the kind of things that I've kind of shared as far as like choosing and being intentional and really showing up in authenticity. That's another one of those buzzwords that I'm like, do people think that I'm just trying to throw? I mean it like being your weird, crazy, creative, emotional, whatever it is, self is
Yep.
so valid.
Yep.
So valid
Yep.
in all you do outside of marketing or whatever. Just fully being able to show up as yourself in all spaces and being comfortable, that's true abundance and freedom. From
Mhm.
there, it's just a ripple effect of blessings that I wish for every single person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even just to like pin what you had said earlier, just when you spoke to like this space, and it totally goes with what's going on now with what you were talking about, because yes, with abundance, yes, with all these things and alignment and authenticity and fear. You will be met in fear as well. There is going to be something
Yeah.
that is going to rock your system that says, like,
Yes.
oh, this isn't safe, this isn't safe. And sometimes I've always said, like, okay, if you are feeling fear, then what is so similar to that feeling is also excitement, right? There could be something that lives
Yes.
right there that if you just like look at it and you just go full force at it and do it anyways, that is where you can like break into this beautiful abundance too. Because when this opportunity of me shifting out of this space because of, just an experience that happened in my own salon space was the fact that I sat there for like a millisecond, sitting in fear, being like, okay, I'm going to speak to it being loud in this building. As soon as I speak to it being loud in this building on a platform where all of my clients are, I'm now being faced with this experience of, well, could they cancel their appointment? Could they this? Could they that? But my system could not handle it anymore. So I was like, I
Mm.
literally have to say something. And if it's bringing up fear, then that just means I'm doing something right because I have to speak to this. And it is like shooting through my system. And as soon as I spoke the words, I need to get out of here. This is no longer safe for me to be here. I need help. Right. And I put that on our lovely little interwebs within hours. Not only did I have abundance of 10 to 15 DMs, right? But one of them within 2 hours aligned me with this space. Saw it the next day and then moved in within a week and a half. So it's just one of those things where
Love this.
you don't, sometimes you're not going to see it. You're not going to see
No,
it. But when you are met with that fear, take a minute to sit with it, but also know that the abundance could be living like literally just on the other side of it. Because what is
totally.
this now? This is way more aligned for my guests. They're coming in here and like they're like, I'm telling everybody, I'm like, I couldn't have designed this space better myself. Like it is
I
exactly what
love
I'm
it.
looking for. Yeah, it's
I
wild.
was so proud of you when you made that post because just from like knowing what you've been working on behind the scenes and having some more intimate conversations with you, I know that like you were very, very cautious as far as how you show up on social media because you respect your client relationship
Hmm.
so deeply that you understand it carries over into these parts that are outside of your space,
Yeah.
right? And that really was one of the first times you've been like over the last few weeks you've been opening up a lot more and showing us a
Yeah.
lot more behind the scenes, but this was the first time you were really like, this isn't perfect, it's messy, and
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And nobody told you to F off. Nobody unfollowed you.
Right.
Nobody canceled their appointment. People showed up for you.
Mm-hmm.
People they want to connect. We're on social media because we want to be social. They want to know you give a shit about something.
Yeah.
Can we cuss? I can
Yeah.
cuss,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Let them fly. I love it.
They want you to create this space where they can be vulnerable with you too. But
Yep.
because you're the business, you're the professional, they're almost waiting for you to take that lead.
Hmm.
And I'm sure just from you sharing your experiences, the amount of people who've commiserated with you, shown you compassion, showed up for you, gave a helping hand,
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
you can't even track it. It's so
No.
many, right?
No.
And so
No.
it's just also too, I'm sure, opened up this wave of like new perspective in what content can be
Yeah. Yep.
in relation to like real life.
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, it speaks to stagnance too. Like in that space, I could only create to a certain capacity because I had to be so
Yes.
worried about my three walls and how
It
loud
was the
they were.
biggest caveat in your business.
Yeah.
It was beautiful and served you well, but for the capacity of ideas that you have
Yeah.
and the massive scale that you want to serve, you would be doing a disservice to your full potential had you not listened to your body.
Right, right. I'm like, where would I be? I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like it's been literally the greatest blessing, but also like
Girl.
in just being able to like, connect with you, connect with just professionals that have also been there, but in a different way. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of what is so important and why I just love being able to bring these connections, why I wanted to do this podcast, like being
Yes.
able to like really start having some of these harder conversations that marry in spirituality, mental health, our toxic overload from the industry, how we've been hurting literally physically in this industry as
Mm-hmm.
well. Because no, like once we start talking about that, that helps inform everybody that comes after us. And that has been such a huge thing for me too. Like I've loved going and talking to the schools and being able to be a part of that path. And it just like again, all of these things just feel like they're like, okay, okay, now we're starting to settle into a space that feels like
Yes.
there's that vibrancy again. Whereas again, I just felt like I was just kind of dulled out for a bit. I was like, am I supposed to be doing literally any of this? So I'm like, we'll
Oh,
just
could you
see.
imagine too if how deeper and more intense that like misalignment would have become? Because it's not going to get better.
No,
It would not have gotten better. Now that
no.
you have the outside perspective, are you kind of like, dang? Because sometimes the shame comes with it as far as like, well, I should have done it sooner, but the
Well,
alignment, maybe this space wouldn't have even been existed.
no, it didn't. That's the thing. That's the thing. That is where I speak to like so much of this just being like it dropped in exactly when it was supposed to because November is when it existed, right? I only just signed my lease at this other space in September and I told myself, I was like, you will be out within the year. If this space has to figure like if the universe, if God, if somebody has to kick me out of it, I'm gonna be out. I just don't know how
They
that's gonna
did,
happen
girl.
yet. So it
They
literally
did.
was like it was like, see ya. Nice
That's
try.
so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's like,
I just love this.
yeah.
And I think I told you too, like when clients, students, friends are going through a hard time, I am very, very like empathetic, but secretly a part of me is like, this is where it shifts. There's some cool stuff on the other side of this. This is
Yeah.
they don't know it yet. I know it.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know it.
Yep.
Upstairs knows it.
Yep. Yep.
And on the other side of it, it's just so cool to kind of see like the energy now and the capacity you have. Like this, even just this podcast was something that was on your heart well over a year ago,
Yeah.
even longer.
Yeah.
And there was just no feasible or logical solution. And the amount of impact you're going to have going forward
Yeah.
and on yourself, on others, all of it, because you made that decision that was terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
messy,
Mm-hmm.
confusing, overwhelming. You felt probably unprepared in many capacities.
Yeah.
Oh, straight YOLOing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like fuck around and find out, sis. We about to. Let's go.
I
Yep.
love it. I'm so happy for you. And the education portion of it, it opened up for you
Yeah.
to be able, that's kind of the essence of it is, well, it's great that you have a beautiful space that you love and you love showing up in it. The impact of serving others within
Yeah.
that space is
Yep.
what's going to be truly transformational.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody in the industry has this like a lot of times when I work with people, they're like, I'm not an educator. I'm like, you literally educate people all day, like literally all day,
Yes.
like all day.
You're like, what do you actually mean?
So it's just really cool to see you settling into your space and the ripple effect this is going to have
Yeah.
on the industry, your business, your own wellness.
Hmm.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I'm so incredibly excited. And again, it's just like allowing it to be a ride. And I know that, as we continue, we'll absolutely continue to connect on many, many more conversations that come, especially in this industry, because you and I are constantly in DMs like, just like lighting each other up, but also having really freaking hard conversations about just life things. So I just want to say thank you so much for the light that you've guided so many of us with, because
So sweet. Thank you.
we really, really need that in our industry when we are feeling dull, when we are feeling like, our shit ain't shit and we're ready to like do something with it. But really your allowance to let people sit with you, even if they're not ready to commit to something, and just understand who you are in the business that you've been in, the perspective that you have. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this podcast today.
Thank you
And
for having me. I'm so honored. I'm so so grateful. This is an incredible incredible experience. For those who don't know, I hate being on camera and you have made this so lovely. So lovely and so enjoyable, and chatting with you is always an absolute joy. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this experience.
hey, well, I'll have you back at any time because we got plenty more to talk about. But for now, close it off with this because we just gave so many beautiful like
Yes.
nuggets for people to think about. And I just want to say thank you so much, and I will be talking to you soon,
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
darling.